Kyle Shanahan, let's talk to you. So I just started off with Kyle Juszczyk, which isn't really fair because you're the tone setter of this team, Kyle Shanahan. It's your team, and Kyle Juszczyk is sort of just following your direction. It's your fault that Kyle Juszczyk thinks he can go on Rich Eisen and just give a bunch of compliments to Brock Purdy and imply that Trey Lance is none of those things. Clearly, you have not articulated the vision for why Trey Lance is here to begin with. You're the reason he's here. You wanted him. You didn't want Jimmy. Team wanted Jimmy. You didn't want Jimmy. You wanted to get rid of Jimmy, and you brought in Trey. You could have had Justin Fields. You could have had Mac Jones. You decided on Trey, and you never explained why to anyone. You just kept everyone in the dark, from your fans to your players. You made the trade. You didn't explain it. You made the trade after free agency, after Juszczyk signed, after Trent Williams signed. I think they felt surprised. Like, what did we re-sign for? Are we rebuilding? Or are we going for it? And then you brought in Trey Lance, and you didn't explain, like, what about his skill set was so important to you? You said you wanted to sit him for a year, and then you buried him after an injury, and now it's like, why was he here? You need to tell people. Like, you've done a great job, Kyle, of explaining your system to your players. How do I know? Because anytime George Kittle's in front of a microphone, he can break down your system for days. He can explain all the different intricacies of the wide zone and how the run set up the passes. And he is a Kyle Shanahan system expert. So is Kyle Juszczyk. A bunch of players on your team can talk about your system for days. Why? Because you talk about your system for days. Where'd they get it from? You. They listen to you talk about how great your system is, and they can parrot it. Well, if you did the same thing about your quarterback, hey guys, from day one, I know you're a little surprised that I brought in Trey Lance. I know he's not like Jimmy Garoppolo. I know we're going in a different direction. Here's why. Here's what we need to do. We don't just need a veteran who can trust me and his playmakers and get the ball out on time. We need more than that. Kyle, I'll explain it to you. George, just like I've explained why the outside zone is so critical, I will explain why the idea of Trey Lance is so critical to you, Kyle Juszczyk, and you, George Kittle, and you, Trent Williams, and you, but he didn't do that. He snuck him onto the team as a rookie, buried him because the players were a little confused, thought they'd be more into it year two. They weren't. He invited all the veterans onto the team into little private meetings and begged them to support Trey Lance. That doesn't work. So, Kyle, you do such a good job of articulating your system and why it works, and your players buy in. You can't do that at the quarterback position. Why not? If you did, I think they'd buy in. That's the thing about you, Kyle. I say you're an ineffective head coach. You're basically not a head coach. But your players play hard for you. They buy into whatever you're selling them. And I don't understand why you never tried to sell the quarterback that you wanted. It's like you were afraid. It's like you tried to divorce Jimmy Garoppolo. You brought in the new girlfriend. Your teenage children didn't like the new girlfriend at first, and you're like, all right, well, guess it's not going to work. I don't know. It seems kind of like that's what happened. You need to articulate yourself to your children, your players, who believe in you and look up to you and want to understand what you're doing. I think it's on you, Kyle. Your indecisiveness or unwillingness to explain yourself has led to all of this. You could have handled this right away when you traded for Trey. Here's why I'm trading for Trey. Here's what we need. And if Trey doesn't work out, we're going to get someone else like Trey, because this is what we need. But for you to trade 3 first-round picks for Trey, never give him a chance, and then pivot to Brock, who's a lot like Jimmy, it makes people like Kyle Juszczyk be like, what the hell are you talking about, man? Why did you ever go after Trey if we're pivoting to Brock Purdy, who's a lot like Jimmy? I guess I was right, Kyle? I guess I was right. Kyle Juszczyk was right. All I need, once you go back to Brock, you're basically telling people, yeah, we just needed Jimmy. We just needed a vet, a guy who could, distribute the ball. So, Kyle, you need to explain yourself. You need to explain this quarterback position. You have us all in suspended animation right now. Lowell Cohn donates $20. That is so generous. Also, a very familiar name. Lowell Cohn. Rings a bell. Thanks, Dad. I love you. And I'm looking forward to doing our show in 2 days.